Hello and welcome to another episode of SuperCoach Insider. My name is Chris, and today I'm bringing you my team into round 12, the first of the bye rounds. I have to apologise this week, guys. I think both me and Ben, both sick at the moment. So our normal podcast that we do on a weekly basis, kind of taken a back seat. I'm only really able to get this done today, but still feeling real bad. I mean, I didn't even bother getting changed into a Pies shirt. I'm actually wearing my Broncos shirt today. Yeah, so apologies for my voice, apologies for everything. I went to the Collingwood and Carlton game on the weekend and came back and just felt absolutely rubbish since. So apologies for everyone, and as we'll get the content out to you, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up if I sound a little bit lethargic or like I've been hit by a truck. It's because that's how I feel. Um, Sorry, guys. All right, now I'm getting on to more things that do make me feel good. Thanks to our sponsors again in Manscaped. So obviously support for Supercoach Insider. It's brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. The products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SCInsider100 at manscaped.com. So jump on board, guys. Thank you to Manscaped. Also, thanks to our other partners in Splash Vodka and EarnYou.io. Now, getting into it, guys. So last week, apologies. Last week, guys, I had a pretty decent round, but not an amazing round. I know a lot of people had a very big round last week. I thought I was tracking quite well. The thing that really let me down this week was my captain choice. So unfortunately, I had Clayton Oliver VC, and so I took the punt on going McRae as the captain, and so it sort of backfired a little bit. I lost about 11 points there. Neither were good scores. And I went away from initially, I think I had planned to go with Neil as the VC. And I opted against that purely because I saw both Lockie Ash and Matt DeBoer in the starting lineup. And I thought, well, someone's getting tagged and it's probably going to be Neil. And it ended up being Daniel Rich. So, you know, I thought I was trying to be ahead of the curve. I went behind the curve and whatever. Now, the other thing that happened is, obviously, with all the ruck carnage last week, my trades got thrown out the absolute window. So, as you would have seen on my last podcast, again, I had planned to get in Sammy Walsh, and that was thrown out with the ruck carnage. So, Bruce still not named. Hayes with a cloud over him as well. And Dixon dropped meant that I had 0 rucks going into the round, and then luckily Hayes pulled up, and then I had a choice to make on who I would bring in as that other ruck. So unfortunately, I got kind of landlocked. So if I wanted to trade Hugh Dixon, the only person that I could get up to, I was actually about 10k short of going to Wits, which meant that I had options below Wits, but either it was Wits or English is pretty much the only ones, because I knew that I wanted one of those two guys. And luckily, I fell onto English. So I did actually luck out there, guys, and I got English a week earlier than most. So I kind of feel like that was one good thing that happened over the weekend, is that I did get that. And I'll go into my team now so that you can have a look at how it all fared. So 2447. It's left me ranked. Hold on, I think. I'll just bring it up. Sorry, guys. I did have a slight drop in rank, but not too much. And I think that I can make this up over the buys, so I'm not really upset with it. So yeah, down to 1376, down 108 places. So I think the top 1,000, the par top 1,000 was about 2450. So just below that. So that makes sense why I've had a slight drop, but not that all too much. So yeah, obviously Hewitt back. I had McCartan on field. No, I lie. I had STK on field. Sorry. So I ended up keeping McCartan and DeConing for that extra week instead of trading one of them last week. And I ended up having to trade Dixon to English. So that was the one that I forgo. And obviously I got rid of Rowell. But it meant I have to field Stevens on field. I could have obviously gone McComb or Owens, but I wasn't going to try and risk either of those, and I couldn't loophole any of them. Bailey Smith was down a premium as well, so I was down both Bruce and 2 premiums last week, Bruce and Smith. and I still managed to get that score, which I was pretty good. But obviously, what happens every week which seems to be the case. Witherden went and Stewart went ridiculously crazy. I also know Sinclair had another good week. So just two guys that are absolutely destroying me. Ryan came back with the thunder, and I was so happy to see that 140 out of him, sticking with him this long. Now, the good news is with Luke Ryan, I'll bring his profile up here. His break-even's now gone down to 23, so he's going to start making me some cash again. Right in time for me to trade him or hold him. Now, the reason I say or hold him, they just beat the reigning premiers. He played in a different role. They moved Logue forward a little bit there. They played Ryan differently this week than what they've been playing in the last few weeks. And they beat the reigning premiers in doing it. Do they now hold Ryan in that position knowing how well he did? Or do they change it up again? So that'll be something that I'll be keeping an eye on over the next couple of weeks to see if what I saw last week was just a flash in the pan or it's a definite role change moving forward. And then, therefore, is Luke Ryan someone you even look to trade in, given his price right now? Could be something to watch, guys. So I've got this week and next week to watch it, and that's what I'll be doing. So my plan was originally, obviously, to trade him to Stewart. I think he's now probably out of my price range, because Stewart's going to be at least 150k more by round 14. So, we'll see how we go. Might be Witherden as the one that I trade instead. And now Hearn's back this week. So that could mean a decrease in scoring. And I've just had average scores constantly from Witherden, so hasn't been great. Dacos, obviously, you know what? Jack Crisp, I thought he played a lot better than 97. Seeing him there, he seemed to be all over the shop, but his disposal wasn't that great when I watched the replay. So I understand why he only dropped to 97, but he got the ball a lot and he was dominant on the day. I thought he was absolutely everywhere. So that 97 wasn't reflective of how good he played. Stewart was also everywhere, but he's just so effective with his disposal. He gets a lot of loose balls. Doherty copped a knock, but he still managed that 107. And I think with Wiedering down, he's going to be required more to be going up for those marks. So that could mean a bump in scoring. It might not. I'll wait and see on that one. And the midfields, obviously Neil's 164 was the big highlight. Rory Laird again, another 118. Tuke Miller came back with a 109. He was on a really low, poor score for a while. Managed to scrape out that 109. Cripps with his first good score, but again, Matt Kennedy wasn't there this week. So, I don't know about that one. It's still on the edge, Cripper, so he needs to show something pretty soon. And obviously I had Clark and Stevens fielded with Smith, McComb, who's actually tended to do a nice little cash grab. And obviously I've had Owens for the whole year, so that was a really nice little bump, considering he's got a 2 in his price cycle. So I know he's only got a break-even of negative 22 this week, but the week after he should have a fairly good break-even. And given his performance, I think he's definitely going to get around a third game. Not sure about the others, but that's really going to help because I needed that in round 13. I was really struggling for on-field scorers, so having him there is just going to be bonus points. I'll go through Bruce in a little bit because I do want to touch on him. Obviously, there's a bit of conjecture over whether he's even best 22 or if Flynn's preferred, and that's a big talking point this week. And then, of course, the forward line here. Now, I wasn't really trying or planning to get into Tim English. I did want to see what it was like, what he was going to be like with another ruck. I didn't think he would be that dominant, and he was best on ground by a long shot, absolute mile. So yeah, I was super impressed. This week he comes up against either Stanley or who's the other ruck there, the defender ruck, Blitzarves. So if he's up against Blitzarves, I think you got to VC him. But if he's up against Stanley, I can see the point where you wouldn't VC him, but you still might want to get him in because of his break even. He might price people out if you have to wait another week or two. He's already up at around 600k, and he could be 630k with a 130, I think it is. So, other ones. Darcy Cameron played less ruck time, but it was still primary ruck. So he had a 93. Missed an absolute sitter of a goal he should have kicked, which would have obviously propelled him to above 100. and I think he had more scope for scoring in that game. The thing is, a lot of the time, Carlton's ruck, he was rucking against Paddy Cripps, he was rucking against Silvani, and unfortunately, Collingwood did not take advantage of that. They still got dominated in the clearances, even though they had the dominant rucks on the ground by a long shot. So Carlton were sharking taps, and that's why his score wasn't as high as I think it could have been. Having said that, I'm definitely looking to move him out in the coming weeks. He'll be gone round 14, absolutely guaranteed. I do not want a situation like Tex Walker last year where all of a sudden a change happens and he starts pumping out 40s every week and you get stuck with him. I do not want that to happen. So I am definitely going to be, and there's a perfect trade option for him in Bontempelli. So I'm going to be going Cameron to Bontempelli guaranteed in round 14. There's nothing anyone can do to stop me. So it's probably going to cost me 100k, and it'll be the best 100k I've ever spent. So I'll touch on Bruce now. So I still think if Bruce comes back, and he's the number one ruck, and I think he is. So what I think happened last week, and obviously this isn't confirmed by the club, but he was named as an emergency on the weekend. He played in the twos and performed terribly. And I do believe he was probably still impacted by that flu, which is part of the reason why. Now, therefore, if you can afford to not trade Bruce this week, I would advise not doing it because there's every chance he gets named next week, particularly with Matt Flynn playing really bad. Well, I wouldn't say really bad, but he was less than average, let's say. So I would say that Bruce has a chance to be named. Now, if he is, that's pretty much confirmation for me, given that he played very poorly in the VFL, that he's the preferred ruck moving forward. And that's enough for me to go, okay, I'm going to go with Bruce at R2 for the foreseeable future until he shits the bed or until something else happens. For two reasons. First of all, there's still 50k more to be made there. And if I can get away with not having to upgrade someone who's already averaging 110, then great. I mean, that's what I would talk about here. Bruce is averaging 110, so is Bontempelli. Bontempelli is 600k, Bruce is 450. So by trading out of Bruce, I'm not really and going to another person who's just going to average 110. That doesn't give me anything. That doesn't win me anything. The only thing it does is maybe buy job security, but that's a lot of money to pay for job security. So I think if you can afford to hold on to him this week, that's the right move. And then next week, if he doesn't come there, bang, trade him out. You've got 450k guy to trade out to whoever you want. You can get one of the dogs. No, you can't get one of the dogs. You can but you can get, say, Darcy Parish. You can get a Sam Walsh. There's heaps of guys. There's Jack Sinclair. There's quite a lot of guys coming off that bubble that you'll be able to pick up next week. So now we've still got obviously Hamilton and Rioli on the bench. It is what it is. You're not going to be able to do that. I'm going to be keeping DeCone this week, but I'll go through my trades now. Now the great thing is we had the mid-season draft, I should say, and so there seems to be a couple of guys that are going to be playing straight from the get-go. So obviously we've had Wiedering. He's out for 6 weeks with an AC joint. And it looks like Sam Durden's he's going to come straight into that centre-half back position. Now, unfortunately, because he's obviously been on a list before, he's not listed as 102k defender, which really pisses me off because my optimal trades need someone 117k or below this week. So I would love to bring in Sam Durden, but I can't afford to. So Durden is one that I would look at heavily. He is someone that's in my trade plans for next week, should that be the case. But at this stage, I'm going to leave him out. And the other one that's probably going to play is, I want to say his name is, hold on. I've got it here, if you give me a little bit of a sec. Here we go. Oh. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, guys. Ramsden. Ramsden is the Hawks guy. So he's the ruck for the Hawks, and Sam Mitchell's already said he may even come in this week and start playing. Now, unfortunately, he's a 102k ruck only, and the problem with that is it landlocks you. So with me having English, I'm going to have him in the forward line, and I'm going to want to be able to cover the ruck line, and so R3 needs to be someone who's a ruck forward. Now, fortunately, that's what we were gifted this week. We also had a ruck forward come in and a guy called Teakle from Port, who's going to be a fairly good loop player for us moving forward for the rest of the year too. So Teakle's the one that I'm probably looking at because the ruck line I'm not really impacted for in regards to the buy structure. So I can still trade in Teakle and it not really impact anything. So that's something that I'll be heavily considering this week, and it's pretty much what I'm looking at. Now, initially, I was looking towards not trading this week and trading in both Parish and Walsh next week. Now, unfortunately, that's not the case. So, because I traded in English early last week, and the way that my cash has worked out, I've only now got 35,000 cash. So I was planning on downgrading some guys this week and banking cash, and then taking that into next week and going and splurging that on both Parish and Walsh. But they've now had, obviously, I think both back to back really good weeks, and their prices shot up. So they're both now 620k. That means I'm going to need to somehow get 1.2 mil, which means I need to download quite a few rookies. The problem with that is I've really only got McCartan and De Koning that are sort of ready, and even them, they've still got a little bit of cash to make. Dacos I need to hold for the buys to get me through round 13. So, and McComb's not ready to be traded out. Hayes probably, I could keep because obviously he would help me through the buys as well. And then there's no other rookies there that are really ready. So trading now or trading for this week doesn't seem like two rookies that aren't necessarily even going to play seems like a pretty bad idea. So I've either got to make a decision to trade to a non-playing rookie that I was going to get a non-playing rookie anyway, or alternatively try and guess and go for someone like a Ware who may play next week or may not, or a Durden who may play this week or may not. I'm not really sure that those are the right moves, so I'd like to see them named next week before doing that. So this week, my plan is to go for a non-playing player, and for me, it's two options. So one of the things I did see on the weekend is at the function that we were at for the football, Charlie Dean was there, and he looked pretty good. So he looked to be unencumbered. I think he's about 4 weeks out from returning to full games. So I think Charlie Dean slots straight into the fullback spot that is now vacated by Jordan Roughhead the second he's available to do so. I don't think there's anybody else in the Collingwood list outside of Madgen, who's also injured, that is going to be able to play that role. Sorry, guys. For the Pies. Ugh, I feel like a truck's hit me. Sorry, guys. So to me, Charlie Dean seems like a logical long-term replacement. He could play D8 for the rest of the year, and I think he definitely get in games. So I think that if you were to trade in Charlie Dean at some point in the next few weeks, it's not necessarily a bad move. And as soon as he's listed on a team sheet, look to get him in because I think he'll score half decent and he'll be good or decent cover at basement rookie price for the rest of the season. So I'm going to keep an eye on later in the week and I probably will try and trade him in anyway at, let's say, round 14 to free up cash. Could be something I do or a move that I make. So look into doing that. So this week now instead, I'm doing something a little bit different. So I still need to try and cover the next week's buy. So that's the priority this week, is getting players in that are going to cover me during the buy, or at very least they're not going to negatively affect my buy structure. But I also kind of want to upgrade. And the reason for that is I don't want to leave myself short. So if Bruce isn't named next week, I'm going to be really up the creek without a paddle. So I want to try and cover the ruck line a little bit. And so I'm looking at making a move on rucks this week. And the ruck that I really want is Sean Darcy. Now, obviously his scoring capacity is huge, but his injury history is equally there. He's pulled in 2 of his last 3 games have been 140 plus with a 170 included in there. He's 580k with a break even. I think it's like 53 or something like that. I'll check that quickly. So no point in waiting a week on that because I'm just going to lose cash. If he goes 120 this week, there's another 30k. You're paying 610k for it, right? The other thing is if I wanted to get, say, a Sam Walsh or a Darcy Parish this week, I actually can't afford him with the trades that I'm going to be needing to make. So I need to move on to someone that's below, I think my limit's like 590 or something. And the ruck line allows me to do that. It is a place where I need an upgrade. Obviously, I can move. The short-term plan would be Darcy and Bruce, R1, R2, and English is in the forward line, which obviously makes a lot more sense. And then having a non-playing ruck forward at R3 so I can swing English in when needed. So that's the play there. So I'll show you guys how I'm going to be doing that. And the first one is I will be trading Sam Hayes out. Now, I definitely don't think that you need to trade Sam Hayes. I'm just in a position where he's the one that is the most... he's made enough cash without... his break-even's decent enough. He still could make 30, 40k more. But I'd rather trade him out than trading, say, both De Koning and McCartan. Dacos is one that I need to hold, and then no one else is really ready. So I'm happy to trade out him. He's not making cash this week. And the other one I'll trade out is McCartan. So it's a coin flip. Honestly, again, coin flip between SDK and McCartan. The only difference is McCartan's playing Melbourne and De Koning's playing Bulldogs. So I think that matchup is probably better for De Koning than it is for McCartan. That's it. That's all it is. So, yeah, you do who you think is best. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to sub him back here. And I'm going to get in Darcy. So, yeah, Darcy, I'll bring up his stat lines. But absolutely massive Darcy at the moment. So he's break even 68. Yeah. So if he hits a 120, which is projected, he goes up another 23k. At that point, he's 605k going up, and I won't be able to catch him. He does play Big O, so it's not the best matchup this week. But look at his ruck run coming up. So he plays Hawks the week after, who's going to have a rookie ruck, whether that's Max Lynch, whether that's this VFL ruck. That's going to be a huge game for him. He comes back and he plays TDK against Carlton. So that's going to be an easy matchup. And then he's got Port, so Sam Hayes, Rowan Marshall there, Hickey, what's his name? Built like a truck. Can't even remember Richmond's ruck. So he's got a hard ruck there in Gawn in round 20. And then English, who's not a great tap ruckman, plays West Coast on the way home. And then Bruce. So, I mean, his ruck run in the back end of the season has got 130, 140 written all over it for an average. So, yes, his body's an issue, but I do not have a problem with his scoring. And considering that I have Tim English as a backup ruck in the forward line, I don't see a reason why I wouldn't do Darcy. So that's who I'm going to be going. And obviously that leaves me with getting the Teakle as the... is this a Teakle? Teak? How do you even bring him up? Maybe he's not listed. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. What's his name? Teak something? Teakle with a K, of course. My idiot self. All right. So completing those trades, it leaves me with about 15,800 in there. So that leaves me with is 20 on-field players this week. So I'll get my guys on field. Let's go. You. All right. Oof, it's taking a little bit of time. Anyone else have a problem with this, or is it purely just me? I feel like I always having problems with this stuff. The other great thing about Darcy, guys, is that it means that every week I have 2 rucks playing, as long as Bruce comes back next week. This week I'll have 2, next week I'll have 2, and the week after I'll have 2 as well. So it is good from that perspective. Oh, isn't it good to have Bailey Smith, guys? And I know, yes, I missed out on a score last week, which is unfortunate, but this week comes back and I mean, it would have been nice to have that extra 60 points and go over the 2,500 mark. I don't need to do that. All right. And we got McComb as well. All right, guys. So here's how it looks. So I've got 8 midfielders. I've got 5 defenders. That's 13. I've got 2 in the rucks. That's 15. And I got 5 up forward. So 20 guys playing this week, including, so that's 5 premiums, 4 premiums, 9 premiums, 10, 11 premiums, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 premiums. So I am tipped to make quite a good score this week. In terms of my VC and C, I'm actually going to be going English into Laird this week. I think that's a good play. It's even with a projected score of around 2,064. So I think anytime in the buys you can get over 2,000. It's not a bad week at all. Now next week, guys, it looks like if everybody plays, I'll have 19. Now when I say everybody, I mean Owens gets named. I mean the guys that I'm trading in. I've got 3 guys I'm trading in next week. So that'll be likely scenario if they're all announced. Durden, Ware, and Parrish. Or Parrish or Walsh, one of the two will be coming in next week. So again, I would have liked to have both Parrish and Walsh next week, but I'm not going to be able to afford them. So I've got to just pick my poison there, cop the L, and then try and get my last midfield upgrade later. And I've also got the option to choose someone like a Merritt as my last upgrade. Sorry, guys, I'm just not feeling great. But yeah, but technically now I've really only got one more upgrade to do, or is it? One more upgrade. And I would be completely done for the year. But then of course we want to try and optimize the team. So I still want to bring in at least the Bont. Bont will be coming into my team. And then we'll see what else comes in. Defenders really need to be looked at in the back end of the year. Obviously, M8 is really important, so we'll look at that in round 14 probably, and then see where we're at. Rookies look to be okay, not amazing, but okay. I really like Owens coming in. He looks like, if he can continue this form, he might be a good bench guy for the rest of the year, which would be good. But yeah, really liking the look of the team. I should score really well this week. Next week's just going to be fingers crossed. And the good news is with next week, I don't think a lot of people have strong weeks next week. But yeah, so that'll be fully upgraded team with basically 9 trades to go, and then I'll look at what we need to do in the following weeks to try and shore that up. I'm thinking of spending another 3 trades the following week, so it'll leave me with 6 trades, but then I'll have all the guys and pieces that I want. So we'll then 6, I think, for the rest of the season should be fine. Anyway, thanks, guys. Again, I apologize for everything, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.